What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Thank you so much for pressing play. Today we're going to talk about a couple different pieces of news for the C8 Corvette, but most notably the three new colors of the C8 Corvette for 2022 that have finally been shown off in person. So let's get into it now. All right, guys, we have three pieces of news to cover today, like I said in the beginning, all of it relating to the C8 Corvette and even some of the future performance variants. But before we get into the real meat and potatoes of the upload, I wanted to talk about these new colors of the C8 Corvette because we have mentioned them a few different times on the channel. At first, it started as a rumor that we were losing three colors but gaining three new ones. Then all of a sudden, we started to see some random pieces of metal painted to the new color samples. And while that was pretty awesome, there was still no guarantee that this was definitely coming from Chevy. Well, as of yesterday, it is guaranteed. It is 100% fact. Chevy has announced it is definitely getting rid of three colors and gaining three new ones. And they showed the painted pieces of a C8 Corvette for all three new colors at the 2021 National Corvette Museum Bash. So as you guys can see here, we do have, in fact, the Hypersonic Gray, the Caffeine color, and the Amplify Orange. Obviously, you guys know we've talked about this in previous videos, but finally we get to see a real comparison of the Amplify Orange to the Sebring Orange, and it is a pretty massive difference. Now, if you guys can remember, I actually put out a video a while ago talking about losing these colors and hoping that at least one of them was going to come out with a more rapid blue approach with no metallic and almost a flat kind of appearance. And sure enough, that's exactly what Amplify Orange ended up doing. I was kind of hoping that Hypersonic Gray would do something similar, but I am still digging that gray. It looks a lot better than the current gray, if you ask me. It's not necessarily the Nardo gray I was hoping for, but it's definitely more gray and less blue than the current shadow gray metallic is, so I'm on board for this. Personally, I was never a gigantic fan of the Zeus Bronze to begin with, but the Caffeine color looks to be right around the same. I'm not really sure I would choose that color anyway, but honestly, the Hypersonic Gray and the Amplify Orange are looking absolutely fantastic here, guys. If you haven't gotten your C8 Corvette yet, either one of those two options, in my opinion, would be an absolute perfect choice. So real quick, guys, just to talk about why this is important is because this all started out as a rumor. Then it turned into more of a rumor, and finally, here it is, 100% truth. This is exactly why I do these C8 Corvette news videos, because 99% of the time, what starts as a rumor or starts as a leak ends up being true. So if you go back and look at some of the really dated C8 Corvette news videos I did before the C8 actually came out, a lot of the information ended up being true. Because just like with the three new colors here, everything starts as a leak or a rumor, but I'm pretty sure these are actually coming from GM. All right, guys, so on to the next bit of information, and this one is, of course, a rumor. Just like we talked about a second ago, these are pretty likely to come true, but of course, with any kind of rumor, you always want to take it with a grain of salt because it very well may not come true. With that said, a lot of the stuff I've reported on in the past has come true, so I'll leave it up to you. But this article comes to us from our friends over at the CorvetteBlogger.com, and it starts off by saying, is Chevy preparing to start pre-production on the Widebody C8 Corvette? Now, as you guys know, obviously the C8 Corvette Z06 is going to be dropping here semi-soon, and based on something that's happening at the National Corvette Museum, people are starting to speculate that they may be gearing up to start building the Widebody Corvette. Now, in my personal opinion, I do not think we're going to see a C8 Corvette Z06 until early 2023, because I really feel like Chevy is going to push the hybrid version of the C8 before we get to the Z06. But that's just my personal opinion. There's not any fact to back that up. There's not even any rumors to back that up. So again, take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, the CorvetteBlogger.com is thinking that the National Corvette Museum is starting to set up to build these wide-body Corvettes. And while that may be true, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the Z06. It could possibly be the E-Ray. Either way, the Bowling Green plant is changing stuff over to make something different. The CorvetteBlogger.com article starts out by saying one of the perks available for the customers who custom order a new Corvette is the ability to order a photo album that captures your Corvette in various stages as as it's being built at the Corvette assembly plant. The National Corvette Museum offers these photo albums for $700 each, and they are quite popular due to the fact that the plant has yet to resume the buyer tours, which allowed buyers to watch their car being assembled in person. Unfortunately, though, the National Corvette Museum photo albums have recently been suspended, and if you had one ordered for 2021 that's still awaiting production, your money is being refunded. You would think that these are a pretty good fundraiser for the museum, so why the suspension? The Corvette Museum's website only says that they are temporarily unavailable. However, an email posted to Facebook from the R8C staff says that the reason is that visitor access is being suspended at the plant. And it continues, because of this, our team is not able to enter Bowling Green assembly for the remainder of the 2021 model year. Those photographers have been allowed in the plant throughout the COVID pandemic, and now that the majority of Americans have had at least one vaccination shot, it doesn't seem likely that the National Corvette Museum's photographers are suddenly being barred from entry due to concerns over the coronavirus. We can't think of any other reasons why the plant would deny access to visitors unless they're working on a model year yet to be revealed. If you guys remember, prior to the C8 Corvette base model being officially announced, they did something similar. They shut down plant tours because they were re-gearing everything inside to build the C8, but it hasn't been announced yet, so they didn't want anybody to accidentally see any pre-production parts. So this does sound like something is up and something is definitely going to be different there. So I do believe we're going to be seeing either the E-Ray or the Z06 pretty soon. Now, interestingly enough, the Corvette Blogger article goes on to say that the Corvette team is expected to offer details for the 2022 model year later this week during the National Corvette Museum's Bash event, and it's anyone's guess on whether they will announce the Z06 or the E-Ray models for 2022, both of which are expected to be wide-body versions of the C8 Corvette Stingray. The Z06 is the model we are expecting next, but the rumor mill has been surprisingly silent the last few months. Now, like I said before, guys, I'm thinking the E-Ray is coming next and the Z06 will follow that. It's going to be kind of a twist of events of how Chevy typically announces these Corvettes, considering the E-Ray was originally a Grand Sport, and typically the Grand Sport comes after the Z06. But in this case, because of Chevy's recent push for electric vehicles, I really believe we're getting the E-Ray first and then the Z06. Either way, they're both likely to be wide-body Corvettes, so it makes sense that the plant is gearing up to change something for whichever car is coming next. And lastly, guys, we have another rumor that is coming to us from the CorvetteBlogger.com talking about the European C8 Corvette to lose 30 horsepower due to different emission laws across seas. So for those of you out there who are waiting for your C8 Corvette, the right-hand drive option is likely to lose 30 horsepower just because it has to meet certain emission laws. That is unfortunate, but it seems to be something that the EPA is cracking down on even here in the States. For those of you who don't know, a lot of X-pipes have been banned for resale for the C7 Corvette because of the same kind of thing. The EPA doesn't want any parts like that out there. It's unfortunate because where do you draw the line? And it's eventually going to get to the point where we can't even put aftermarket exhausts on our cars. And that kind of hurts me as a car guy. I really like the idea of modifying the car to make it mine. And that is typically one of the places I start. So this is one of those ever expanding problems, but for now, it's only affecting our friends across seas. In the CorvetteBlogger.com article, they say that they just got the information and confirmed that with multiple dealers, that the European Corvette will have a reduction in overall power thanks to the requirement to install a gasoline particulate filter that will meet European emission laws. The power changes as follows. The horsepower will be 468, down from 495. The torque will be 455, down from 470. And the 0 to 60 will be 3.5 seconds, down from 3.0. It is disappointing, but it's not a gigantic difference. So if you guys are still waiting for your C8 Corvette across seas, this isn't a huge problem. But at the same time, it is different. And it is an issue if you are a big car guy hoping for that 495 horsepower. This particular person in the article says, to me, this is a huge letdown since the European C8 Corvette prices are already pretty high compared to the US market, even though the 2LT Z51 is standard there. And if you guys remember in the previous video, I talked about the price of the C8 Corvette over in Australia, and it was going to be significantly higher than it is here in the US. So it's unfortunate that they have to pay more to get less, but on the flip side, we kind of have to do the same thing when we import cars here to the US, so I guess it kind of makes sense. It's never overly exciting to buy a car that has less horsepower than somebody else's same version of that car, but It is what it is, but I do apologize to all of our friends overseas. If I could help you out, I definitely would. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. So if you liked what you saw, please give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about the information we talked about today, leave them in the comment section down below or shoot me an email, horse.power.obsessed@gmail.com, and I will be happy to answer anything you have for me. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. I have loads of C8 Corvette news and content like this coming you are not going to want to miss. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next upload.